It's an honor for us to have you here for this high-level event under the title of Regions for Health Innovation, Personalized Medicine, and ATMPs Driving Europe's Future. I would like to give a special thanks to BioCat and I prefer to say BioCat than BioCat, BioCat and the government of Catalonia, for their leadership in organizing this meeting within the framework of the European Breakthrough Project. As the spoken person for the Group of Socialists and Democrats in the European Parliament on the biotech dossier, I want to begin with a fundamental concern: the urgent need to defend the role of science in our societies against the growing threats of anti-European and anti-scientific populism. On the contrary, we must reinforce our public research sector and bridge the gap with industry to ensure that scientific advancements translate into concrete, commercially viable developments. From this perspective, from my group, we have submitted a series of amendments to the biotech report aiming to strengthen the EU strategic autonomy, guarantee safety, and foster truly European innovation. This vision is rooted in genuine competitiveness, not based on regulation, just on simplification, but not in the regulation, but on strengthening our scientific and technological capacities. Two significant shifts in transatlantic policy highlight the difference between today's approach and any previous EU policy. Firstly, the United States continues to jeopardize the export capacity of European pharmaceutical companies through tariffs and their financial stability through ultimatums that seek to impose pricing policies not only in the US, but also in Europe. This is serious. We must defend our scientific system, we must defend our environmental competitiveness on biotech, we must defend the freedom of research and the public health objectives upheld by European healthcare systems. The threat posed by the extreme right, which is undermining the US, could also impact us. Society as a whole must respond to this threat, and I think this is an opportunity also for Europe. I think we have an opportunity in this new situation. We have to develop a real ecosystem of biotech in Europe, and we have to take advantage of the possibility of this first European Biotech Act. So if we coordinate and fund this European-wide effort, we will lay a cornerstone for launching the European biomedical industry, because innovation begins with high-quality basic research, which we must reinforce to prevent the loss of talent caused by these cuts, for example, of US funding. Our amendments call on the Commission to prioritize attracting this talent and to invest intelligently in Europe's future. We must also recognize that while Europe can promote fair and free trade, the global trade structure will change following the degradation seen in the US economy. This makes implementing the Draghi report and integrating the European market an urgent priority, especially by bridging the gap between basic research and clinical application, linking academia and industry. That is one of the real problems that probably you discussed previously, the difficulty that we have between having a startup and then scale up into a commercial application that could work at industrial level and commercial level. And I think there is a big potential also in Catalonia, very clearly with this BioCat idea, to potential to develop IP models that incorporate university research contribution, facilitating commercial implementation, while ensuring benefits for national health systems and meeting industrial development and accessibility criteria. I also want to mention one very important thing, and we are discussing now the trilogues of the pharma package of the general pharma legislation. We are on the final steps. And I think that we have to highlight that hospital extension policies are another example of best practice, as seen in Spanish and Catalonian hospitals. Scaling these projects with industrial development could be treatments developed under hospital extension to marketed authorization and broad application, and also enable new treatments for patients that are always needed, in some cases with unmet medical needs. And why not? I had to say it again. I said this thing before in another debate, that we also have to enable accessibility to these treatments to the national health systems, because, yeah, we need fair conditions in order to access to these treatments. I mean, the gap between the hospital essential solutions and the commercial solution right now is huge. So I think hospital essentials could collaborate in order to decrease also prices and also to enable good ecosystems as it is, for example, in the clinic, in the hospital clinic in Barcelona. So I don't have too much to say, because Laura, my colleague from Catalonia, is coming ahead. But one important thing regarding ethics and the use of biotech that we also consider in this report, I think that genetic data, because we are discussing a lot about the use of data, must serve as a therapeutic aim to the patient. There are some companies rising, selling direct-to-consumer genetic testing, mostly also US-based, raising serious concerns about data use and their purpose. Genetic tests without therapeutic intent are unnecessary. We need a clear purpose for the patient on the use of genetic data. And I think it's important to establish a clear link in the development of the European health data space, that some milestones are coming in 2029 and 2031 regarding the use of secondary data and the ethics of the use of this genomic data. I can remember the Oviedo Convention in the Article 12, that is very important, that was made under the Spanish presidency of the EU. So I think that you had a very intensive time this afternoon and evening, and I don't want to prolong the debate so far in the night, so I think it's time also to go to the closing remarks. So for me, I think it's enough, but also to give thanks again to this good initiative that is BioCat, that have other common initiative across other regions in Europe. I would like that also in my region, that is Galicia, we have the same ecosystem that you have in other regions, but we are trying. Of course, we are trying. We have two legs and two arms and a good brain to work on that. But I think that all these regions working in biotechs are also an example for how Europe can develop competitiveness, not only in these fields and others. And finally, one final word about finance. I think there is a common sense, a common understanding of where is lacking in finance. And I think everything cannot be solved in the Biotech Act. I have to be honest. Biotech Act can enable finance for scale-up the good ideas that the biotech ecosystem has, but not everything can be solved about with the biotech act. We have a lack of finance and some barriers in the internal market that we have to break, and also to create a real European finance system that is not in the same committees, in the Econ committee, but we have also more European Union regarding the use of financing and banking, not only these projects, in other fields, many other fields, but in this field concretely, we have seen a lack of finance that we have to raise the most regarding that. I think Laura is already prepared, so thank you so much, and thank you for having this event here in the House of the People in the European Parliament. Thank you so much.